For thousands of years, humanity had looked at the stars and wondered if someone was out there. They had always dreamed of meeting other life forms, of talking, sharing, learning. But dreams often come with shadows. And when the invitation finally came, it was not through a signal or a bright ship in the sky. It came through silence. One day, every satellite and screen on Earth lit up with one simple message. Humanity is invited to the Galactic Peace Conference. No source, no name, no location, just coordinates and a time. The world went silent. Governments panicked. Scientists argued, was it real? Was it a trap? But something about the message felt serious, the way it was delivered. The way it cut through every system on Earth without leaving a trace. Someone or something was watching. In the end, Earth decided to go. They chose 3 people: Ambassador Ellis, a calm and clever diplomat, Dr. Rena Okoye, a language expert, and Commander Javier Lane, a military officer with sharp eyes and few words. The 3 were trained in secret. No media, no public speech, only quiet hope and quiet fear. They left Earth in a small, sleek ship built for long travel. As they reached the edge of the solar system, a strange hole opened in space, a portal of light and dark like a wound in the sky. Without speaking, they passed through it. On the other side, they found something beyond imagination. A massive station floated in the void. It was larger than Earth's moon and shaped like a twisting spiral. Dozens, no, hundreds of ships circled it. Some looked like stars, some like shadows, some like nothing human minds could describe. They were not alone anymore. As they approached the station, a voice came through the ship's system, not male, not female, just smooth. "Welcome, humans. Your presence is confirmed. Please proceed to Dock 47. No more was said. When they landed, the doors opened to a glowing path. Lights followed their footsteps. The station felt alive. Creatures from all corners of the galaxy walked the halls. Tall beings with crystal skin. Small floating ones with no face. Even a few that moved. Like liquid. Some watched the humans with curiosity. Some turned away. And some whispered. "They came," one said. "They actually came." The humans were guided to their quarters, where they were told the peace conference would begin in 6 hours. No weapons, no translators, no recordings, just words. Pure words. Ellis sat in silence. Okoye stared at the alien symbols on the wall. Lane checked every corner of the room, every vent, every shadow. He didn't trust it. None of them did. Later, they were led to the main hall, a giant dome made of glass and gold. At least 20 different species stood in circles. Some wore robes, others armor. Some wore nothing at all. At the center was a raised platform with a single round table. Peace was the goal, they said. Unity was the dream. But something felt wrong. When the humans stepped forward, the room fell quiet. A voice spoke from above. "We welcome the new species, humanity of Earth." Ellis stepped forward and gave a short speech. "We come in peace. We hope to learn, to grow, and to be part of something greater." Some nodded, some smiled, but not all. As Dr. Okoye listened to the translation device, she frowned. The word peace didn't translate properly. It flickered. It changed. Once it even said, "prepare." She whispered to Ellis, "Something's wrong with the translation." "Maybe interference," Ellis replied. "Maybe not." The meeting continued. Each species gave a short message. Some warned of danger. Others spoke of old wars. One species, tall and silent, said only 3 words: "Watch the humans." As the conference went on, Commander Lane noticed the guards, too many of them, and none were looking outward. All stood facing in, toward the delegates. And they all held stun rifles. He leaned toward Ellis. "We're not guests," he said. "We're test subjects." Ellis tried to hide his worry. Okoye's hands shook slightly as she adjusted her notes. Something was happening. Something big. But they didn't know what. Then, just as the last species spoke, the lights flickered. A soft humming filled the dome. The ground vibrated. Then, silence. A hidden panel in the ceiling opened, and a voice echoed. Not the same smooth voice from before. This one was cold, sharp, watching. The humans have entered. Seal the chamber. Gasps filled the room. The doors slammed shut. The glowing walls turned dark red. The guards raised their weapons, not to protect, but to control. The three humans stood still. Ellis took a deep breath. Dr. Okoye looked at the dark ceiling, and Lane simply whispered, "I knew it." The peace conference had just begun, but peace was never the plan. The doors were sealed. No one could leave. The peace conference, which was supposed to bring hope, now felt like a cage. Red lights glowed across the glass dome. Guards stood still, weapons pointed, not at invaders, but at the very leaders who came to speak of peace. Ambassador Ellis raised his hands calmly. "There must be some mistake," he said. "We came to talk, not to fight." No one answered. Then, from the upper balcony, a tall figure stepped forward. It was a Varnak, a race known for logic and order. Its eyes glowed blue, and its voice echoed like metal scraping against stone. "There is no mistake, human," it said. "You were invited here to answer for your kind." "Answer?" Ellis asked, confused. "For the crimes you will commit." Silence. Every being in the room turned to face the humans. Dr. Okoye stepped forward. "That makes no sense. We just arrived. We haven't even—" The Varnak raised one hand. A screen lit up above them, showing video clips, not of the past, but of the future. Earth cities burning, alien ships falling from the sky, human war machines walking through alien streets. The images were violent, terrifying, and impossible. "These are predictions?" Okoye whispered. "No," the Varnak said. "These are truths. Your species brings destruction. Always. Your path ends in fire." Commander Lane frowned. "That's not proof. That's fear." But fear was already spreading. Several alien leaders stepped back. Some shouted in their languages. One threw something on the ground, an old symbol of peace, then stomped it beneath a clawed foot. Ellis tried to calm the room. "Please listen. If this is the future, we can change it. Isn't that the point of peace? To stop what hasn't happened yet?" But many didn't want peace anymore. The Varnak replied, "We invited you to give you one chance. Admit your path. Agree to control your kind. Stay within your solar system. Never expand again." "And if we don't?" Lane asked, already knowing the answer. "Then you won't leave this station." Ellis's hands lowered slowly. "So this was never about peace?" The Varnak stared down. "Peace only comes after control." Suddenly, the lights flickered again. A low rumble shook the chamber. Then, a new voice cut through the speakers. Not alien, not Varnak. It was human. "This is Captain Alara Cheng of the UNSF cruiser Resolute. Release our people. Now!" The screen above shifted. A human warship hovered outside the space station, massive, sharp, and glowing with energy. The aliens gasped. "How did they follow us?" one delegate whispered. "They were not supposed to know where the station was." Commander Lane smiled just a little. "Guess they lied." Ellis spoke clearly. "This doesn't have to end in war. You wanted to see what humanity would become. You're seeing it now. We defend our own." The Varnak's face twitched. "So, the violence begins already." "No," Lane replied coldly. "You started it when you locked the doors." Suddenly, alarms rang through the station. The guards turned, confused. Some tried to contact the control tower, no signal. The human ship outside had jammed their systems. In the chaos, the humans moved. Lane tackled a guard, grabbing the weapon. Ellis and Okoye ran toward the side door. They knew they had only minutes before the fighting began. Other species panicked. Some tried to flee, others stood frozen, unsure what side to take. Fear and confusion filled the chamber. And then, As gas started to pour into the room, meant to knock out the humans, Lane fired at the vent. A loud crack. Sparks flew, smoke filled the air, but not the kind the aliens expected. Ellis shouted, "The truth is simple. You feared what we might do, but now you've pushed us to become what you feared." Dr. Okoye added, "You wanted us to stay small, quiet, controlled. But humanity never does what it's told." Outside, the Resolute moved closer, shields raised. The message from Captain Chung repeated, "Release the delegates, or we come in." Inside, Lane led the others through a side hallway. He knew the station's map. The humans had hacked it before even arriving. They had come prepared. Not for war, but for betrayal. The three humans reached a small hangar, hidden, quiet, empty. A backup shuttle waited just in case. Ellis looked back one last time. "So much for peace," Okoye said. "They never wanted it." Lane replied, "Then we'll show them why they should have." The shuttle launched, fast and silent, just as the alien guards reached the hangar. But they were too late. As the humans escaped, the Galactic Peace Conference fell into panic. Trust was shattered. Blame flew across every species. And far above them all, the Resolute hovered, calm, ready. The message was clear now. Humanity had arrived, and they would not be controlled. The human shuttle flew through dark space, quiet, small, hidden. No one said much. The shock of the betrayal still sat heavy in their chests. Ambassador Ellis looked out the window. Stars passed slowly, but his mind was racing. "They set a trap," he said, "and they thought we wouldn't see it." Commander Lane sat beside him, holding a small tablet. "We didn't see it. Not fully. We prepared for trouble. But this was planned from the start." Dr. Okoye turned from the front. "We need to ask why. Who gains from this? The Varnak said we were dangerous, but he showed the future. A future that hasn't happened." Ellis nodded. "Someone wants us to be feared. Or destroyed," Lane said. They fell silent. On board the human warship Resolute, Captain Alara Cheng waited. Her crew had eyes on the shuttle, guiding them in. The station hadn't attacked, but it hadn't backed off either. "We're being watched," the tech officer said. "Multiple ships are tracking us." "Let them," Chung replied. "We'll show them how humans respond when cornered." When the shuttle docked, Ellis, Okoye, and Lane stepped onto the deck. The crew saluted them, not as leaders, but as survivors. Something about their arrival felt heavier than before. War wasn't here yet, but something close was. Ellis went, straight to the command room. A large round screen showed the galaxy map. Flashing red dots marked areas of concern, ships moving, transmissions blocked, borders closing. "They're cutting us off," Chung said. "One system at a time, quietly. No open threats yet." But soon, Dr. Okoye read the signals. They're not just scared. They're being pushed, pressured. This is bigger than fear. Lane leaned in. "Someone in the shadows is pulling strings." Suddenly, a message came in. Not from Earth, not from the conference. It was from inside the Galactic Council itself. Secret. Hidden. It came with a symbol Ellis had only seen once, a small white star inside a circle. A group that wasn't supposed to exist anymore. The Pale Directive. Long ago, they had tried to control expansion across the galaxy. They had failed, disbanded, forgotten, or so everyone believed. Ellis opened the message. It was short. "They will not let you rise. Their vision must stay clean. You bring chaos to the order they built. We didn't plan this war, but we see it coming. If you want the truth, then come to Nauru Station. Come alone." The message ended. Chung said, "It's a trap." Lane said, "It's bait." But Okoye said, "It's a chance." Ellis stared at the screen. If this group exists, if they're really guiding the council, then they're behind the peace talks, behind the fear, behind everything. Silence fell again. Everyone was thinking the same thing. What if humanity wasn't being judged for what it might do? What if it was being blocked for what it could become? Ellis took a deep breath. I'll go. No way, Lane said. It could be a kill zone. I know. But this war, if it starts, will destroy more than just Earth. We need answers. Captain Cheng nodded slowly. Then we go in quiet. No lights, no signals. If it's a trap, we break it. If it's real, we bring the truth back. 2 hours later, a second shuttle was ready. Smaller, darker, cloaked. Only Ellis and Okoye would go. Lane stayed with the Resolute, ready to strike if anything went wrong. As the shuttle left, the stars around them seemed darker than before. Naru Station was old, left to die in deep space. No one had touched it for years. But something was waiting there, something that knew the truth. When they arrived, the station floated like a dead whale in the void. Cold, silent, lights off. But the dock was open, Ellis whispered. They're watching us already. They entered. Inside, the station looked forgotten. Dust, broken lights, wires hanging. But deep inside, a door opened on its own. A voice came from the shadows. Calm. Sharp, not machine, not alien, human. You came, it said. Good. Then we can begin. Ellis stepped forward, heart beating fast. Who are you? We're the ones who kept the galaxy blind. Until now. A figure stepped into the light. Human, but not from Earth. His badge showed something strange. Born in orbit, raised in silence, loyal to no one. Dr. Okoye said softly, You're one of the off-grid projects. The man nodded. We've been watching both sides, and now it's time for the truth to come out. Outside, unknown ships began to move toward the station. Silent, cold, ready to kill if needed. But inside, Ellis was about to learn something that would change everything. Not just for Earth, not just for the Council, but for the entire galaxy. Inside the cold halls of Naru Station, the silence was deep. The walls creaked like they remembered old secrets. Ellis and Dr. Okoye followed the strange man through narrow halls. He moved fast, but quiet, like someone who didn't want to be seen, even in his own home. I need answers, Ellis said. Why was humanity attacked? Why did the Council set us up? The man didn't stop walking. Because your species isn't under control, and that scares them. They entered a small dark room. A round table, a flickering light, and an old hollow projector sat in the center. The man placed a chip inside. The projector hummed, and then showed a star map. Ellis leaned closer. That's not the current galaxy map. No, the man said. It's what the galaxy looked like before the Council. Dr. Okoye stepped forward. These empires, they were wiped out. Yes, the man said. They were strong, brave, but they asked too many questions. They evolved too fast. The Council didn't start as a peace force. It started as a wall, a cage. Ellis's voice was sharp. So it wasn't built to protect life. It was built to control it. The man nodded. And now humanity has entered the scene. A race that doesn't follow patterns. A race that adapts, breaks limits, and never forgets. Okoye said, and they're afraid we'll do what those empires did. The man turned off the map. No, they're afraid you'll do more. Ellis sat down. So what now? War? The man paused. Not yet, but the Council is preparing for it. The peace conference was only the start. Now they're trying to erase Earth quietly. Make it look like you caused everything. Ellis looked sick. They're going to start a war and blame us. Yes, the man said, unless you show the galaxy the truth. Dr. Okoye raised her head. Then help us. Give us proof. The man smiled. I just did. Suddenly, the station lights blinked red. The door slammed shut. A voice echoed through the hallway, cold and mechanical. Intruder detected. Purge protocol active. The man cursed. They found us. Okoye grabbed the data chip. We have to go, Ellis shouted. What about you? The man pushed a hidden panel and opened a back door. Go now, I'll buy you time. Ellis didn't want to leave, but they had no choice. The walls shook. Ships outside were powering up weapons. The Council's private enforcers were already moving in. The shuttle flew away fast, too fast. Bullets of light shot across space. The small ship dodged and weaved. The enemy wasn't trying to destroy them. They were trying to capture them. They want the data back. Okoye yelled. Ellis gritted his teeth. Then we make sure they don't get it. He sent a signal. Far away, the Resolute received it. Captain Chung didn't ask questions. She spoke 2 words. Bring the storm. Earth's hidden fleet began to move. Dozens of cloaked warships appeared from nowhere. They had waited in silence. Now they would speak with fire. The enemy ships paused. They didn't expect a response this strong. The Council had assumed humanity was alone. They were wrong. Lasers filled space. One enemy ship exploded, then another. But the battle wasn't over. Inside the shuttle, Ellis sent a final message to Earth. They lied. They fear us not for our violence, but for our freedom. They are not protectors. They are jailers. And now the galaxy must choose truth or silence. The message was broadcast across every open channel. Civilizations across the stars heard it. Some listened in fear, others with curiosity, a few with hope. But deep inside the Council's heart, dark eyes watched in rage. They've begun the spread of chaos, one said. We must act before the galaxy believes them, said another. The head speaker stood slowly. Then we finish what? We started. Humanity has made its choice. But Earth had only begun to speak, and what came next would shake every star. The message spread like wildfire. Across 1,000 worlds, screens flashed with Ellis's words. People paused their work. Soldiers stopped marching. Even high leaders froze listening. They are not protectors. They are jailers. The truth was out. And nothing could stop it now. On Earth, leaders met in silence. Some were scared, some were angry. All of them knew one thing. There was no going back. General Ramirez stood in the war room, eyes on the stars. The Council will come hard and fast, he said. We need to be ready. President Amina nodded. How long do we have? Maybe a week, Ramirez answered. Maybe less. Across the globe, something humanity hadn't felt in a long time returned. Unity. There were no more borders, no more small fights, just one world, facing one enemy. Factories that once made cars now made starship armor. Scientists worked day and night, building weapons Earth had only dreamed about. Orbital defense rings powered up. AI systems scanned every corner of the sky. Earth wasn't going to beg, it was going to stand. Meanwhile, in the depths of Council space, their response had already begun. A fleet, massive, dark, and silent, left the central systems. Not marked with flags, not speaking through channels. It was the kind of fleet sent not to fight, but to erase. Their orders were simple. Crush Earth's hope. End the humans before others started to believe them. But the Council made a mistake. They assumed Earth would sit still. Back on the Resolute, Ellis watched the data. The fleet was moving fast, too fast for any normal reaction. They're not just coming to punish us, he said. They want to end us. Okoye looked up. Then, we strike first. Captain Chung turned to her. Strike? With what? Okoye placed the chip onto the table. This isn't just proof, it's a key. Ellis leaned forward. Key to what? Okoye smiled. To something hidden, buried deep in Mars's shadow, something Earth never meant to use. They all stared at her. A prototype, she continued. A weapon of last resort, powered by gravity fields and dark energy. The Council knew about it, but thought we never finished it. Chung raised an eyebrow. And did we? Okoye nodded. We did, but we kept it sleeping. Ellis stood. Time to wake it up. As the enemy fleet approached the solar system, Earth's moons lit up, massive cannons rotated, invisible satellites became visible. Mars opened its underground hangars, and then it rose. From beneath Mars's south pole, a giant ship lifted, dark gray, silent, bigger than anything ever made by humans. The name was etched on its side, Judgment. It didn't carry hundreds of weapons. It was the weapon. The Council fleet arrived and saw it waiting. For a moment, even they hesitated, and then Judgment moved. It didn't fire lasers. It didn't drop bombs. Instead, it pulled. Space itself bent. Enemy ships broke apart, not from fire, but from gravity being ripped sideways. Hulls twisted, engines cracked. One by one, the front lines vanished. Ellis watched from orbit. "That's not a ship," he said quietly. "That's a message," Captain Chung whispered, "and the message is Earth doesn't back down." But the battle was far from over. The enemy fleet adjusted. They began to spread out, avoiding the Judgment's field. Fighters rushed toward Earth. The skies lit up in fire and screams, and yet Earth didn't break. People fought. Civilians picked up arms. Pilots flew until their fuel ran dry. Even space miners used their drills as weapons. For every human that fell, 10 more stood. And across the galaxy, others were watching. In quiet corners of forgotten planets, alien leaders whispered to each other. "They fight like nothing we've seen." Maybe the humans were right. And in the council chambers, panic began to grow. One elder slammed his fist. "How is this possible? They were just a small planet." Another whispered, "We made them unite. We made them stronger." And behind them, the shadows stirred. The true rulers, ones even the council feared, began to wake, because now they saw it clearly. Humanity was not just a problem, it was a storm, and it had only just begun. The war in space slowed, but it didn't stop. Earth stood strong. The Council's first wave had failed. The superweapon Judgment had sent a clear message. Humanity was not weak. It would not kneel. But far away, beyond Council territory, others were watching. In the dark parts of the galaxy, old empires had slept, broken by the Council centuries ago. Now they stirred again, some in fear, some in hope, and some with a different plan. In a hidden system with no name, inside a massive station carved into an asteroid, the Varn Dominion met for the first time in 300 years. The Varn were thought to be extinct, a race of sharp minds and sharper weapons. The Oxia Council had erased them from history, or so it believed. Now their queen, Aralis, stared at the star map. "This species," she said, pointing at Earth, "was not supposed to survive." A general replied, "And yet they've turned the galaxy upside down." Another added, "If we help them, maybe we rise again." Queen Aralis gave a cold smile. "No, we don't help them, yet. We watch. If they burn the council, we rise from the ashes." Elsewhere, in the distant Nabari spiral, the merchant clans of the Traylon met in secret. These beings had stayed neutral for centuries, selling goods to all sides. But now, neutrality felt dangerous. "We used to sell to the Council," one merchant said, "but they lied. They started a false war." Another merchant pointed to a screen. It showed Earth's broadcast. The truth was spreading. They exposed the Council. That means they can expose us too if we choose the wrong side. Silence. Then the oldest merchant stood. "We choose survival. And right now, survival means Earth." A message was sent. Quiet. Hidden. Back on Earth, Ellis, Okoye, and Captain Chung were meeting in a deep bunker under Geneva. "We've stopped the first wave," Chung said. "But the second will be worse." Ellis nodded. "The Council won't come alone next time. They'll bring everyone they control." Okoye added, "And that's not the worst part." She placed a file on the table. It had no title, only a symbol, an eye inside a star. "This," she said, "is the Shadow Core, the true power behind the Council." Chung frowned. "I thought the Council ruled everything." They don't, Okoye replied. They answer to something older, something hidden. The Shadow Core doesn't send ships. It changes minds, collapses planets, destroys from the inside. Ellis stared at the symbol. How do we fight something like that? You don't, Okoye said. You survive it. You reveal it. And maybe, just maybe, you break it open. Suddenly, a transmission came in, unmarked, ancient language. But it was clear. We are not allies, but we are not enemies. Earth stood when others fell. So we offer a warning. They are coming. The my ones behind the veil. If you want to live, dig deeper. It ended with coordinates, deep space, unknown system, dead zone. Ellis didn't wait. Prepare the ship, we're going. Captain Chung raised an eyebrow. Into a ghost system? Exactly, he said, because that's where the truth hides. As the Resolute jumped into hyperspace, Earth remained on high alert. The Council would return. But something worse was on the horizon, something that had been hiding not just from Earth, but from the entire galaxy. Because behind every war, behind every lie, there was something else. And now, humanity was about to meet it. The Resolute came out of hyperspace into silence. No stars shone here, no planets glowed, just empty black, cold, and waiting. Ellis, Okoye, and Captain Cheng stood on the bridge, staring at the strange space around them. We're in the dead zone, said Chung. No signals, no gravity, nothing. Not nothing, Okoye whispered. Look there. Floating in the distance was a structure, gigantic, like a machine built from darkness and frozen time. It wasn't orbiting anything. It just existed. They approached slowly. As they neared, a voice spoke. Not through comms, not through sound. It entered their minds. So, you found us. The crew froze. The voice continued. You call yourselves human, but you do not yet know what that means. A beam of light scanned the ship. Then, the Resolute was pulled inside the structure. No alarms, no weapons, just movement, like a whisper through space. Inside, the walls were covered in symbols, some ancient, some still being written, and at the center, a being, not alien. Not machine, a shadow in the shape of a man. You speak for Earth? It asked. Ellis stepped forward. I do. Then understand this, the shadow said. The Council was never in control. We were. We are the architects. We built the galaxy's order. Peace through fear, unity through lies, Chung growled. You killed billions for peace? Yes, it answered, because chaos is worse. Okoye stepped forward. And now humans stand in your way. No, the being said slowly. Now humans are waking up. It showed them a vision. Earth, long ago, before history. Humans weren't just a random race. They were seeded, built for resistance, built to rebel, built to break chains. You were our mistake, the shadow admitted, and now that mistake burns everything we built. Ellis stood tall. Then we'll keep burning. The being tilted its head. We could erase you. But you won't, Ellis said, because you're scared. The shadow didn't deny it. You see now what the Council feared, it said. You are chaos, you are unpredictable, and that is power. The being offered them a choice. Join us, sit at our table, rule the galaxy with silence and control, or walk away and face war with every empire we've touched. Ellis looked at Okoye, then at Cheng, and he said just one word, no. The shadow paused. Why? Because Earth isn't afraid, Ellis replied. We're done with secrets, done with chains, we'll fight. And if we fall, then we fall loud. For a moment, the being was silent. Then it laughed. A sound like breaking stars. Very well, it said. Let the galaxy burn. The crew raced back to the ship. As they escaped the structure, alarms blared. Systems cracked open. The Shadow Core was waking. Not just one being, but many. across the stars and Earth, had just become their #1 target. But something else had changed too. The transmission Ellis sent from the ship reached every world. It showed the truth, not just about the Council, but about the galaxy's creators, the real ones behind the throne. Now the galaxy had a new question. Do we keep following the shadows, or do we follow the humans? And slowly, system by system, a new light started to rise. Empires cracked, colonies revolted, and behind it all, Earth stood like a torch in the dark. Not perfect, not safe, but free. Because sometimes peace built on fear isn't peace at all. Sometimes the loudest voice is the one that dares to say no. And now the universe had heard Earth's voice. It would never be the same again.